I'm Kevin Marks, and today we're going to take a look inside our headquarters here for the Look Back Library in San Diego, California. In theory, this is kind of what got the whole Look Back Library thing started, was the real little free library system that runs around the country. I'd started seeing these on my travels and decided I was going to make one. You know, the idea with the library, the Look Back Library, is just to have the magazines available for looking at, like a reading room. So the Look Back Library does a handful of different things. Our main goal is historic preservation, where we want to get magazines out of storage bins and places where they aren't being seen and put into more public arenas. And that means for us mainly building publicly accessible libraries at skate shops, skate parks, and nonprofits around the country, as well as putting on exhibits whenever we have an audience that we might be able to put magazines in front of at events. You know, so we're trying to focus on everything skateboard related that's happened in print. On this trip, we got a copy of the new Trans World, which goes right in here. Almost gonna have to figure out a new shelving system, but that tucks right in there. That is issue 395. This is every Trans World, 6 quadrants here. 461 issues of Thrasher, only 395 of Trans World, and that's because Trans World started 2 years later, and for many of those early months, and now most recently for the last year, they've been only producing an issue every other month. So we have every Big Brother, including all 8 of the different covers for issue 7. Strengths over here, Power Edges, and then most of the Canadian magazines here: Concrete, SBC, Color, Low Card, the Bones Brigade Intelligence Reports, Confusion. Over here we've got all the skateboard mags, all the skateboarders. We've got all the slaps here, and then the 70s stuff like Skateboard World and Wild World of Skateboarding. We have a lot of holes, like Rad, a lot of the English mags, Document, Free, North. And then we kind of have some Australian and Scandinavian, Japanese down here. And this is the collection of skating news that Tony Hawk donated to us recently that I'm still sorting and figuring out which issues are what and which issues we still need. A friend of mine asked me to join the board of directors for a nonprofit that he started in Colorado called Launch Community Through Skateboarding. And I've been on that board ever since, and that's where I got the idea for the Look Back Library. In one of my pet projects one summer was bolstering up their library of magazines. I used my contacts in the industry and a few other collector contacts. After organizing a few people's collections and pulling out doubles and figuring out which magazines or which holes they had in their collection still, I would do these double swaps and fill holes, and I ended up just thinking one day on a drive to the northwest out of Colorado, like, maybe I could turn this into its own nonprofit. And that's what I've been working on for the last few years. The majority of the libraries are placed at mom and pop owned, skater run skate shops. We have a handful in skate parks. My best partners are skate shop owners that already have a library to some degree, that have collected mags over the years and are psyched for somebody to come in and organize their magazines and fill the holes and take away some of their doubles. Today we find ourselves at Handplant Skate Shop in Laguna Beach, California. This is their lovely Look Back Library. They have a great selection of mags from the last 20 years here. It's situated right in the front. There's a couple of chairs to sit in and enjoy the magazines while kids are hanging out and ready to buy their new board. It's been in the network of libraries for almost 2 years now, I think. We're about to go into South Bay Skate Shop. I always try to bring Skate Johns or any zines that I'm given a bunch of, try and take them to the local shops where we have libraries to give them out.
I like going through the old trans worlds.
Uh-huh.
Like anything from like their like late 90s, early 2000 trans world. Yeah, even me, I'll sometimes see stuff and I'm just like, whoa, I didn't know that, or I'll see spots there. Dude, I drive by that spot all the time, and it's cool. I like seeing that,
So Slappy's is one of our smaller libraries, and it just kind of goes to show you that we can work on a small scale or a large scale. And specifically at Slappy's, how there was basically some unused space below the TV and above the workbench, and that was like the perfect width for one row of magazines. And I was like, what magazine should we focus on? Because, versus trying to do a small selection of all the different magazines. He's like, let's just do Transworld. Jason had a Transworld cover, and Transworld's based in San Diego.
Sometimes I have to steer the kids to the magazines, unfortunately, because I don't think they recognize what's in front of them, but they seem to enjoy them once they look at them. They don't understand what print is. There'll be somebody that'll be like, and I see them thumbing for one.
Or my checkout's in this one. Or
right, yeah. Brings the kids back to some kind of normalcy when it comes to looking at a magazine. I mean, what other magazines do kids even look at anymore?
Yeah.
If they're not a skateboarder, they don't look at anything else. If you are a skateboarder, from our generation, you should sit down and you anticipate the next magazine coming out.
My name is Paul Schmidt, and in the world of skateboarding, I'm known as Professor Schmidt. This is my look back library. Check it out. I got the whole history of skateboarding here. What do you want to know that happened in 1992 in Transworld? We got it right here. One of the most amazing things I ever did in using my library was 4 or 5 years ago. There's this guy I knew as a kid. His nickname is Ollie. Okay, and I got to do his induction at the Skateboarding Hall of Fame. So I pulled out all my old skateboarder magazines and I did my research, and I found out that know what he told people to do in 1978 in his Who's Hot? He told people to ollie up the curb in their neighborhood. They weren't doing that. That didn't even happen to the mid-80s. Nobody was listening. So it's really interesting because the internet wants to make you think everything out there is real, right? But it's not necessarily real, and it's definitely not locked in time. It's this perpetual moving thing. Where this magazine, when this one right here was published in January 1978, it was a lock in time. Can't go back and mess that up, can't change that, it is what it is.
Paul's super organized and has a spreadsheet of everything that he has so that he'll print that off and send it to me, and I can work off of what he doesn't have and try and fill those holes for him. And then he'll be buying lots off eBay and have ones doubles of what stuff he doesn't need. Here we are in the Volcom Library. A couple of years ago, I caught wind that they had this space up in their offices, and Remy let me in, and I spent a couple of days working and getting everything put in order. We've got all the Thrashers, and we've got the Skateboard Mag, Transworld. They have a lot of internet, they've been a clothing company since '92, I believe, and have done a pretty good job of keeping all the stuff they've advertised in over these years. We are headed to the Skateboarding Hall of Fame's new location in Simi Valley, California. Formerly located in the Skate Lab skate park, it has just found a new home all on its own, and we are going to set up their library. Probably spent a good solid 2 to 3 weeks over the last 4 years of starting to get Todd's library organized and building on it, and getting it to this point here. Where our biggest ones are at skateboard-related nonprofits. I guess the 4 main ones would be the Skateboarding Hall of Fame, Launch Community Through Skateboarding, which is in Fort Collins, Colorado, where this whole enterprise really began for me. And then San Francisco Skate Club up in SF, the Fourth one is Next Up Foundation in Anaheim, where they've donated, they've given us a whole room in their building that they got from the city of Anaheim. I really feel like more and more skateboard-focused nonprofits are going to come to life over these next 5 years, and like I said, those end up being our best partners because they have space. Some portion of their mission statement usually involves education, and that's where we're most appreciated, I think. It continues to be an uphill battle. This is a medium that is continually sliding off the scale of popularity, and that's okay. The main thing that this accomplishes for me personally is connecting me with those handful of people around the country that it does matter to. I've been fortunate to be, now call friends, other skate nerds around the country. Here we're down in what we call the stacks, where it's all the overstock from donations that haven't found a home in a library yet. Donations, come from all sectors of the industry. Older issues can come from a variety of different resources, mainly old skaters like myself that have either learned about the project here and are psyched on it and want to contribute their collection or a portion of their collection. Usually when we get a donation, if it's not just like their whole collection, usually it'll be what they're willing to let go of. And everybody tends to have their favorite magazine that they want to continue to hold on to. So I find that what we get the most of are skateboard mags, since it's kind of the newest, and usually people let go of their more recent trans worlds. So yeah, trans worlds and the skateboard mag are what we have the most of. Oftentimes, somebody's favorite's either going to be Slap, Thrasher, or Big Brother. Those are usually the favorites. Our main efforts are building libraries. I like to do exhibits as well, and I like also to be able to give a magazine to somebody that has earned a cover and maybe has either they missed that one or they lost it in a move, or who knows what the reasons are. But I love being able to connect somebody that was their checkout was in there and they didn't go further than getting a checkout in Transworld or whatnot. But if I can reconnect that person with a bit of skateboarding history as seen in the magazines, that is a thrill. Like Josh Kalis was a good example. I was able to meet up with him to have him sign the covers, and in the course of the discussion, it comes out that he doesn't have any of his covers. And so within the month, I was able to see him again and give him a set of his covers, If you just look along here, there's certain issues we have 10 copies of, certain issues we only have 2 copies of. So, Cairo Foster's 13th issue, only have a couple here. We have a ton of certain issues. Hit me up if you're looking for a particular magazine. We might just have 12 of them that I can get you one. Don't hesitate to DM me or email me. This year, I made a conscious effort to stay on the West Coast. It was initially stay in California and concentrate on events that I've missed for the last 8 years, because I've always been in other parts of the country. But so many skateboard events with video premieres or different who's turning pro parties. There's at best 3 days notice. So if I can be in California and pay attention to my social media, I can attend a lot more things than I can out of state. I've done a lot of these Guerrilla events where Plan B's doing a demo at the Carlsbad skate park, and I just roll up and set up a little panel with all the guys, some of the covers of all the guys on Plan B. And the idea with the Guerrilla events is to just let people know it's too weird to ask for permission, and you want to get it to a point where people seek you out to help complement whatever they're doing at their event, just to make it add a little something extra to their event to put shine on the accomplishments of their skateboarders. It's no joke to get a cover of a magazine, and
do you think?
You never really know what you're getting yourself into. You never know if you really set up in the right place. But again, it always leads to something. Somebody finding out about you or better understanding what you do. I've done these exhibit tours, and sometimes I get discouraged when not that many people show up, you know, because I have all this enthusiasm for the project, and it's, you know, obviously not that many other people give a crap about it. But when I do meet that one guy that is psyched on what I'm doing, that makes, you know, that makes it worth it. And maybe if only 10 people show to an exhibit, you never know where that's going to lead down the road, whether it be a donation or somebody knows somebody at this public library. And I know I'm working with a small niche of people that are interested in this stuff anymore. And so I'm just psyched to talk to anybody that shares the same interest as I do and appreciates these magazines. I love it when the mailman comes. Never know what's going to come in the mail. It might be a new zine, might be a donation, or it might be a package from eBay, like it looks like these two are. Oh boy, so this is the National Skateboard Review. It looks like the 3rd issue ever. So basically we encompass 3 rooms here at the house. This is the 3rd room, which I call the autograph room. Saw Pete Eldridge this week, signed his slap, as well as his skateboarder cover. This one was Todd Swanks at Tumieto. Saw Andrew Reynolds at Exposure, got one from Otto Modown. And Neil Mims was a judge, and this was Mario Rubalcaba's copy of 99 Transworld. Everything up on this wall is in alphabetical order by last name. So Tony Alva's here, John Alley's there, Chad Fernandez, strength covers, Jerry Sue. As more donations come in, especially from high-profile people, we set back certain ones so that we can continue to get those autographed to then put in exhibits and displays. Here's this guy you might know, Sean Malto. Sean's been super easy to work with. He's got a ton of covers, and we have a lot of them signed. Let's say we're doing an exhibit in Kansas City. We've got all of Sean Malto's covers, but I'm going to pick out this Transworld that has Corey Duffel's mailing label on it. And maybe another Sean Slap issue will be from Joe Brook, or, you know, so if I can create even more interest or you know, fine-tune the details to make it, you know, a skate nerd's dream, that's what I'm shooting for. This is a staging area for mags that need to go to the Skateboarding Hall of Fame, mags that need to go to Next Up. So as I get a donation in, I process it. All the stuff that I know isn't needed at our like 5 major libraries, it goes down into the stacks. Other things get sorted up into this area where the next time I go to Next Up, I'll take that with me. The next time I go to launch, I'll take this stuff.
Came aware of Look Back Library. I thought it was such a cool thing because I had my own version of my library and didn't really know that I was disappointed I had holes and I didn't take it serious at times. But in the early 2000s, I'd moved to the back of my building and built some shelves specifically. So I had them in my office. You could walk up and grab a folder at any time. It was totally cool.
Yeah, I think look back at that library, like keeping all those old issues that would otherwise either get in a landfill or just disappear in somebody's attic, get them to people that haven't seen magazines.
You know, with the rise of social media and everything being instant and having it now, there's just something so pure about print. When you become my age, you'll go back and, you know, you might not have that Instagram or that photo's not there anymore. And to see yourself in print and have your name and a caption underneath it and have that tangible piece of evidence that you can show your kids, your nieces and nephews, even your grandkids, that means something. I think something like the Look Back Library is super important, especially for skateboarding and women in skateboarding particularly, to know where your history came from. They're not going to put a photo from Instagram in the Smithsonian Museum. They're going to put an archival piece, like a magazine that you see here, to chronicle that history, and that's the way it's going to be from here on out in time.
Kevin from the Look Back Library has made this incredible library where you can come here, and I can't tell you how many times somebody goes, oh, my brother was in Skateboarder magazine 1979, and I wasn't able to just pull it out. Now I'm going to say, yeah, let's go check it out. Show it to me. And that's what's cool about the Look Back Library.
You get to a certain age where you have an appreciation for the history and the culture of things that have happened. It's another piece of that. And so being able to assemble these magazine collections is valuable because we have it. This was like a monthly account of skateboarding.
All of these magazines are repositories of our history. Before videos, before the internet, there were just magazines that documented what happened in the world of skateboarding. And from the beginning in 65, to 89, to 94, to 2017, it's like, this is how skaters that have been skating from the 70s into the 90s learned about skateboarding. And that's changed a lot now, but you know, a person of my age, they're vital. I didn't just learn about skateboarding from these magazines. I learned about traveling and punk music and just different scenes, what was going on, why this ramp was cool in Little Rock, Arkansas, or why they built this bowl in Little Rock, Arkansas. And man, I'm only in Kansas. Little Rock's not that far. Maybe when I get a car, I can take a trip to that and meet some of these people. You know, so I have this sentimental spot in my heart about all the magazines, and I still appreciate and enjoy seeing the newer magazines, whether it be homemade zines or the new issue of Transworld or Thrasher. So our stated mission statement is to preserve printed skateboard materials, promote literacy, and build publicly accessible skateboard magazine libraries. The more time we can spend getting these magazines out of here where only a handful of people see them and into the public arena, it's a ever-changing environment, and we're just trying to do our part to continue to shed a little bit of light on this portion of the skateboard industry that is so important to me and where I learned so much about skateboarding being a kid isolated in Kansas.